Yeah, so you see, what happened was, the Republic Commando novels by Karen Travis are the thing that really set the whole Mandalorian aspect of Star Wars in motion. But then when the Clone Wars came in, they completely rewrote a whole aspect of the backstory, which made the Republic Commando novels no longer fit in Star Wars canon. But there's a whole dedicated fan base to that, which just don't
subscribe up, Badger.
You
subscribe.
What, man? This is good.
Whoa!
You know, you got to read these books, man.
No, I don't.
I'll send them over.
Please do. I will record a lovely bonfire.
You what, mate? I will come over to your house and I will sort you out.
Oh, like you could, mate.
I will have you know, I am the biggest terrestrial predator in the British Isles.
You got nothing.
What are you gonna do? Set the koalas on me?
Koalas. Man, you know the koalas could kick your ass. Subscribe. The wombat could kick your ass, you stupid little badger.
I've seen wombats, mate. They don't even know how to burrow.
Dude, they make grown men run in terror.
They don't even burrow.
They don't even burrow. Are you kidding me? That's like their whole thing.
I will dig underneath them and I will come up in your kitchen. And once I'm in there, I will eat your pizzas and your sausages.
Not the snags, mate. What the nerd?
Hey, it took me ages to build that. Get him!
Here's a bit of deja vu for you. You all good, Nervardia?
No, I'm not okay. It's Ken Ham. He's at it again.
What's that donkey-faced dingle biscuit on about now?
He doesn't think dinosaurs are dinosaurs. Here, check this out.
New species of batwing dinosaur uncovered? By Ken Ham on May 9th, 2019. Headlines around the world are announcing the discovery of a new species of bat-winged dinosaur uncovered in China. Researchers are dating this find at 163 million years old. They claim this new species, Embopteryx longibrachium, had a membranous wing similar to bats and that it was a non-avian theropod that represents a dead end in the evolution of flight. But what was this creature? Dr. Gabriella Haynes, a paleontologist who works with our research department, analysed the specific paper published in the journal Nature.
Before we go on, I did a bit of a search on Gabriella Haynes and all I could find were hits on her from Answers in Genesis as well as Catherine Lake Baptist Church and a database called Biblical Paleontology Database. So yeah, I couldn't find anything on LinkedIn or anything to do with the university that she claims to have a PhD from, so I'm a little bit skeptical of where she got that information from.
I double-checked this, and I could only find the same results. We could be accused of the genetic fallacy, but at the same time, I don't really feel like taking the advice of a PhD who isn't a PhD. Not saying she definitely isn't, we just don't know. Pumpkin red battery.
Also, FYI, she's currently on maternity leave. Oh, they're multiplying.
Dr. Haynes said when she first read one of the Popular Science articles on Embopteryx, it was pretty puzzling and she wondered what she was going to say about it. But when she went to the scientific paper and the supplemental information in Nature, she began to wonder if she was reading the right paper that went along with the Popular Science article. They were so different.
Well, she was either reading the wrong paper or willingly misunderstanding it, because I read that paper and it's actually quite accurately reported on by National Geographic. She might have been confused about the fact that the Nature article often referred to another fossil called Yi Chi, which was often used to compare the Ambopteryx and similarities and the differences.
A few examples of this are found on the first page. For example, the paper says the proximal margin of the humerus is strongly convex, whereas in Yi it is relatively flat, and an elongated bone is preserved that extends from the distal to the end of the left ulna. This bone is morphologically identical to the anomalous structure reported in Yi, being rod-like, slightly curved, and tapered distally. No comparable structure has hitherto been found in other dinosaurs.
What is it? The researchers claim it's a dinosaur, but it contains many features that make such a designation questionable. Dr. Haynes says the first thing to examine is the identification of the fossil. To which class of animals does it belong? The researchers claim it's a dinosaur, but it contains many features that make such a designation questionable.
Nope, not at all. In fact, this fossil is a fantastic example of one of these transitionary fossils that paleontologists have so much trouble finding. The Nature article says, these fossils demonstrate that, close to the origin of flight, dinosaurs closely related to birds were experimenting with a diversity of wing structures.
Also, just clearing something up, birds are dinosaurs, just in the same way that humans are apes and dogs are wolves. Just making sure everyone's on the same page here.
The same as how badgers are Mustelidae, so closely related to weasels, otters, ferrets, martens, mink and wolverines, among others.
The creature featured gizzard stones, a pygostyle to anchor tail feathers, possible feathers which could also be degraded collagen fibres, so that is unclear, relatively long forelimbs, and a foot and claw arrangement similar to those of perching birds. Also, it has an initial size estimate of a mere 57 grams, which was later changed to 307 grams using a different technique to make it fit with the family the fossils is attributed to. The researchers note they are unsure which size estimate is correct. These are all bird-like qualities. Indeed, one popular article on this research said the lead researcher thought it was a bird. Birds are not supposed to have evolved 163 million years ago, when he first started examining the fossil, but changed his mind when he saw the uniquely large fingers, a feature not found in any known birds.
Again, Ken, what's the go with discrediting science because it keeps updating the information to be more accurate? I mean, isn't that something that you'd want in a scientific article? Oh yeah, we're talking about Ken Ham here.
Dr. Haynes notes that there are techniques such as chemical analysis and transmission electron microscopy that would have given them more information about the presumed feathers. But they didn't use these techniques, so it's unclear whether these features are really feathers.
Badger, what are you doing?
I'm talking like an Australian.
Leave it to the professionals.
Maybe because they didn't need to? In the Nature document, it clearly states, feathers are densely preserved around the head, neck, and the shoulder regions. You don't really need to do more testing to a higher accuracy when you've confirmed the results. That's like demanding a DNA test to make sure that a hair came from a dog when you watched someone pull that hair out of a dog.
And let us remind ourselves that outside of Answers in Genesis and other non-secular sources, that I could not find any evidence that she has her PhD.
Bat-like wings? In the paper, the researchers claimed that much of the soft tissue belonging to the supposed membranous wing was lost during cleaning. But if it was lost, how did they know it was there in the first place? They even state they only found potential traces of the membranous wings. So it's unclear if this specimen even had the presumed bat-like wings. Dr. Haynes says the researchers make a lot of claims, but they are not all supported by the data in the paper.
I've read the paper in Nature, National Geographic, the New York Times, and I couldn't find anything to support this claim. Also, I did a Google search on this and also couldn't find anything to support this claim. Oops, I think we caught Ken Ham out on a lie.
From what I read, they were using lasers to find evidence of soft wing membranes in the fossil. There's no mention of cleaning or loss of anything. That's a steaming pile of hotspur, Ken.
Evolution of flight? So, was it a kind of bird that has gone extinct since the flood?
No, because the flood didn't happen.
Possibly.
Still no, Ken, because the flood didn't happen. Just didn't happen.
It certainly looks more like a bird than a dinosaur. If it was a bird, the long fingers are certainly unique, and it will take more research to discover how this particular creature was designed. But what we do know is that it was designed to do what it did, and it did it well.
Well, maybe not. It is extinct. Also, it wasn't designed, it evolved.
But even if, and that's a big if, further research and new specimens conclusively show that this new species, possibly a bird species, does have bat-like membranous wings, it still tells us nothing about the evolution of flight. Evolutionists now believe flight evolved 4 times in dinosaurs alone. That's an interpretation imposed on the evidence and certainly not one demanded by the evidence.
Hey Ken, did you know there's this thing called convergent evolution? What happens is that completely different species kind of evolve the same things to fill the same ecological niches, and it's pretty well documented by evolutionary scientists. Like, for example, you've got echolocation in bats and dolphins, and the evolution of the PAX6 genes in both cephalopods and vertebrates, even though there's millions of years of evolutionary history separating them.
If a trait is advantageous in one situation, it makes sense it would be advantageous in another similar situation. Then natural selection would help the animals who evolved this trait to survive, passing on their genetics onto their offspring, who then would survive and then pass that gene on to their children, and so on and so forth ad nauseum.
Preserved stomach contents? Interestingly, the stomach contents, which included tiny pebbles to help crush food, a feature found in many birds, of Ambipteryx, were preserved. This specimen had to have been buried quickly in order to preserve stomach contents which otherwise would have quickly rotted away or been scavenged. That points to rapid burial, not the slow and gradual processes we observe today. This creature was buried during the global flood of Noah's day.
Oh.
Okay, Ken. Animals can be fossilized in other ways. Peat bogs, volcanic pyroclastic flows, and amber are just a few examples outside of floods that could cause the conditions that would allow for fossilization.
Floods are an important part of the fossilization process, as they kill the animal, then cover it quickly in sediment, which creates an anoxic environment, which then preserves the animal. That's why non-aquatic fossils are so rare, because they are less likely to be caught in these situations.
Recognizing 2 kinds of science. As Christians, we need to be discerning when we read the news. And one of the most important things to remember is the difference between observational and historical science.
Right, that's it, I'm out.
Nervardia, come back! Nerve? Nerd?
Don't really blame her.
So, what does this former Cairns kid turned
Subscribe.
kid say about these 2 types of science?
Observational science is directly testable, observable, and repeatable, whereas historical science deals with the past, and therefore is not directly testable, observable, or repeatable.
Ken, there's gonna be times that we can't directly observe something happening because it happened over millions of years. We don't live that long. Humans haven't even been around that long. We can't repeat an experiment that's older than the human species. Funny that. However, we can directly test and observe it by looking at the evidence that has been provided.
If we only relied on observational science, Nobody would ever be convicted of a crime if there was only one witness to a murder, and it was the victim. Going by his logic, the person who killed that person should never be convicted because nobody saw it, despite the fact that all the forensic evidence pointed to that person. We also would never have discovered radio waves or gravity, as they can't be directly observed by humans. So what you believe about the past can determine how you interpret the evidence, because the researchers in this study start with an evolutionary worldview. They are imposing an evolutionary interpretation on the fossil. They take it as an evolutionary dead end on the way to flight, but only because of their a priori commitment to evolutionary theory.
No, Ken! Just no! No!
Hey, look, you're back.
No, I'm not.
Ken, please stop. You're hurting people. Also, have you considered that you're imposing a creation interpretation to suit your young Earth worldview, rather than looking at the facts? Also, the scientists don't take this as an evolutionary dead end for flight. It's a type of flight that didn't survive. If the descendants of the Ambopteryx had survived, we would be seeing the same or similar structures today.
Creationists such as paleontologist Dr. Haynes, quoted above,
I strongly doubt that Gabriella Haynes has her PhD, and honestly, if she does, it should be stripped from her. Please tell me this is almost done.
almost. Hang in there.
So Dr. Haynes looked at the exact same research and came to very different conclusions because of a different starting point. She starts with the foundation that God's word is truth, and therefore she sees this fossil as an example of some of the incredible diversity God created, and that each creature, including this one, was created fully formed and functioning. The reason for the two different interpretations is two different starting points. Man's word versus God's word. The issue isn't the evidence, the real battle is over starting points. Well, he does have a point there, but I don't think it's the point he intended. If you start from the assumption that an old book of tales written by ancient goat herders is a literal, accurate, scientific and historical account of how everything came into being, your starting point will quite definitely colour your results in a negative way. If you base your assumptions on bullshit, you know what your conclusion will be? Bullshit.
Hey, Nervardia, it's over. It's okay. It's all okay. You have anything else to add?
You can find me on my channel, Nervardia, or my Twitter handle @NA_Meredith, or my bedroom floor curled up into a ball crying. Don't give yourself the raw prawn and all that sort of stuff. Thank you so much for helping me out. I'm gonna find you.
I'll see you later, Strayan. I'm Bad-Tempered Badger. I talk about things on the internet ranging from religion, atheism, social issues, politics, environmental issues, sci-fi, particularly Star Wars. You can find me on YouTube, BitChute, Twitter, Reddit, Gab, Minds and Pornhub. What are you, NotJah?
Well, I've been your imaginary underworld apostate, NotJah Witness. You can find me at NotJah Witness pretty much everywhere, so come say hello. Now, what were we talking about before, Badger?
Oh, well, you see, like I was saying, NotJah, the Republic Commando novels are some of the best Star Wars literature in existence. What you have to understand here is that it's essentially an entire collaboration of military fiction, but set in the Star Wars universe. And it's...
Dr. Haynes said,
Oh look! Oh, Badger! Ah! And let us remind ourselves that Gabriella Haynes has no credible claim to a PhD outside of Answers in Genesis and Lactus play. Lactus! Lactus. Yep. Well, she is lactosing. Please don't put this in the bloopers. He's gonna do it. Die strongly, die. No.
Subscribe.
This is Academy Award winning.
Subscribe.
Dr. Haynes said when she first read one of the popular science articles on
Fiddlesticks.
Incredible claim to a PhD outside of what she claims on aging. Answers in Genesis.
Bopteryx, is it? How do you pronounce it? Bop? What is this thing called?
I don't know what I was about to say. Incredible claim to a PhD outside of what she claims in Answers in Genesis. Oh, fuck,
What?
this is...
Bopteryx. I'm gonna have to look this up.
Oh, I strongly doubt and don't want that in your face. Please tell me this is almost done.
All I wanna do is live.